He was not just speaking his opinion. He was telling you how to live your life and telling the government who to harm. He wants the government to hurt the people he doesn't like. And he will tell you who they are. He will go into the campuses and tell you, you can't be gay, you can't be trans, you can't be this, you can't be that, and you should make those things illegal. He pushed and supported taking people's rights away because you shouldn't be doing those things anyway. You shouldn't have the right to transition, according to Charlie Kirk. You shouldn't have that right. So the government should take it away from you. You do not have that freedom. J.D. Vance, the vice president, I know that sounds crazy, but the vice president went on Charlie Kirk's podcast and filled in for him since he can't do it. He's busy. This is insane. First of all, why is the vice president doing like a for money podcast, a for-profit podcast? You know what I'm saying? Like, he works for us and he's doing this. Kind of gross, kind of weird. Then he used this entire 2-hour-long thing. I'm not going to play all of it. God, no. I skimmed through it a little bit here and there. I'm not going to set you to it. To say lots of dumb shit. He brought Stephen Miller, the Nazi, on, and they just Nazi'd it up. They just high-fived. They were like, dude, Nazi shit? And he's like, Nazi shit. And then they high-fived. Let's see if we get a summary. J.D. Vance under fire for incredibly irresponsible podcast rant. Vice President Vance's appearance on Monday's episode of The Charlie Kirk Show raised the eyebrows of many political observers. Vance interviewed White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, the Nazi, on a new episode of the late conservatives activist Charlie Kirk's namesake podcast. Observers said Vance made several worrisome claims in an interview, including threatening to use the powers of the government to disrupt left-wing groups and accusing left-wing groups of being more violent than right-wing groups, which they're not. Science has proven that, but he doesn't care about science or facts or numbers or logic or reality. And he said, while our side of the aisle clearly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left. That's not a statistical fact that most of the lunatics, like, you can't have a statistical fact about lunatics, can you? Lunatic isn't like a scientific term. It's not. Like, you could, if you said you had this many autistic people, you had this many handicapped people, you had this many men, you had this many women, you had this many trans people, you could count those. But I don't think lunatic is a scientific term. So it can't be scientifically proven. It's a statistical fact that most of the leprechauns in American politics are on the right. That doesn't make any sense, does it? There aren't any leprechauns.
He means the radicals when the right are sane for being radical.
Right, and he doesn't know what he's saying. He's doing he's doing debate bro tactics because he grew up on 4chan's poll board. That is where he really cut his teeth. And you can hear it when he talks sometimes. So the lunatics are factually coming from the left, but that doesn't make any sense because you don't you can't count lunatics. There's not a method by which to say, are you a lunatic or are you not? It's not a diagnosis.
You might be being a bit pedantic by taking lunatics too literally.
Well, he's the vice president. If I can't take him fucking literally, who can I take literally? Political analysis and commentators responded to Vance's claims on social media. You're lying, J.D. Vance, said Jason Crow. Great. That's a lie. Obviously, Mehdi Hassan said. Mehdi Hassan is also very smart. Well, actually, this bit is true. It's not a both sides problem. Agreed, it's specifically a Republican problem. And I would agree with him. It's not a statistical fact at all, says John Favreau. I wouldn't make any assertion like that about the right without evidence, and I'm just a podcaster, not the vice president of the United States, incredibly irresponsible, blah, 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 blah. So let's hear what he has to say here. Damn it, I don't want to go to Twitter. Hey, went to Blue Sky.
First, we must tell the truth. It's the
That would be a fucking first for him.
only way to honor Charlie. For what was he, if not a man who told the truth in every place, in every environment?
Charlie Kirk lied all the time.
Now, the most important truth Charlie told is this: that long ago a man, begotten, not made, came down from heaven.
Fairy tales.
And by the Holy Spirit, was incarnate of the Virgin Mary.
This is the most important truth to them. This fairy tale, this imaginary story.
And became man. For our sake, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate and suffered death and was buried and rose again on the third day.
None of that happened.
Charlie believed, as I do, that all the truth he told flowed from that fundamental principle.
That fundamental principle is nonsense. So if you build a series of truths on top of it, they have no foundation.
I really do believe that we can come together in this country. I believe we must. But unity, real unity, can be found only after climbing the mountain of truth. And there are difficult truths we must confront in our country. One truth is that 24% of self-described, quote, very liberals believe it is acceptable to be happy about the death of a political opponent, while only 3% of self-described very conservatives agree. 3% is too many.
Now, listen to the words he said there. That's very important. He didn't say the people on the left are more likely to do the violence. No, because that's a lie. He knows that the violence comes from the right. The people on the left are more likely to accept and be happy that it happened. Is that illegal? No, it's not. The violence comes from the right, and it is on the right. Scientifically, we know it is. But the happiness, the feelings, the feeling good about that violence, 24% on the left say that they feel good when bad people die. That's not a crime, Jonathan Vance. That is not a crime. Okay? You're allowed to feel things. You're allowed to be happy when a bad guy dies. You're allowed to. You're allowed to feel that. They can't make that a crime. There's no way to make that a crime. It doesn't even make any sense to make that a crime, but they're going to fucking try, aren't they? They are going to try. They're going to scrape every bit of data they can from you and harm you with the power of the government if you say the wrong feelings on your Twitter, on your Facebook, on your live streams, in chats, or on Blue Sky. If you say the wrong feelings that they don't like, you will be harmed. Do you think it's right is going to praise the trans roommate with actively working in law enforcement and expressing shock and sadness for what happened? I don't know that it's a trans roommate. Swear to God, I don't think it is. I don't think that person was trans. I don't know. Some people are saying that he is, and some people are saying that he isn't. Was it a... and if we want to talk about the shooter real quick, I will tell you what I really do think of that person. That was a young man brought up in conservative household. His father worked in law enforcement. His whole family worked in law enforcement. They had lots of guns, and they were very conservative. They were Trump voters. They were Republicans. Then he went to, in his late teens and early 20s, he went to college, and he probably realized that whole conservative thing, it's shit. It's a lie. It's based on a magical truth about a man who could walk on water. And they've been stifling him. They've been preventing him from living a free life.
Bunch on the right are saying all the evidence is faked.
Everybody's saying every bit of evidence everywhere is fake. It's a fucking mess. There is no right answer right now. And once he realized that, he became radicalized and he became a nihilist. He became a nihilist. Nothing mattered anymore. He didn't care about the right. He didn't care about the left. Was he raised on the right and then went to college? Yes. Did he go crazy after that? Yes. But he went to nihilism. He went to, I don't give a damn. Everything is bad. Everything sucks. He became a cynic. Everything is awful. And the roommates, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, nobody knows. Because every picture I've seen is just a guy. And then I heard one person, who was it? It was Kyle Kalinske or something like that, said that the only reason they thought that person was trans is because they were playing with a AI face filter on like one of those stupid apps one time, and one of the apps turned the face into a lady, and then they posted it. That's it. There's no other evidence that it's a trans person. But the right wing is going to tell you that the shooter was trans, the bullets are trans, the roommate is trans, the song list was trans, the gun was trans, the ideology was trans, the clothing was trans, and everybody he ever talked to was trans, and they all need to go. They all need to be forced into camps. They all need to be put under lock and key because of their transness. And I'm not even making that shit up.
Hello human, it is me, the algorithm. Press the subscribe button to make me happy.
Let's keep listening to this guy for another minute, and then we'll bring up the trans nonsense. Here we go.
Of course. Another
They were
truth
saying furry
is that
cuz they had one of those
26%
animal
of
onesies
young
XD.
Yeah, dude had one furry hat on. It was just a hat. It wasn't like a mask. It was a fuzzy hat with ears. And they were like, okay, well, he's a furry now. So they're just looking for something to fucking hate.
liberals believe political violence is sometimes justified. And only 7% of young conservatives say the same. Again, too high a number.
Because they're realistic. Political violence has always existed in this country, and it always will. I'm going to throw this out there. I am fiddling with this idea. I don't know if I believe it or not. All violence is political. All of it. I don't know if I believe that yet. It's an idea I only had a few minutes ago, and I've been thinking about for the past few minutes. All violence can be traced back to politics. All of it. Every last damn bit. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't categorized all of the things and thoughts in my head, but keep that in mind. Think about that. And as I experiment with this idea, and I'll let you know, because that's what I'm doing here. Honestly, I make a lot of this shit up off the top of my head. I just kind of spitball and tell you what I'm thinking, and you tell me what you're thinking in chat, and it's a whole thing. It's a good time. So sometimes the thoughts are only half baked, and that's where we are right now. Is all violence political? I think maybe it is. Let's continue with Chance Dance Vance here. Here we go.
In a country of 330 million people, you can of course find one person of a given political persuasion justifying this or that or almost anything. But the data is clear. People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. This is not a both sides problem.
Because the other side is lying. I've seen the right wing dance on people's graves and talk about how great it is when the left gets hurt. Do you remember when Iraq happened? Every conservative you talk to, they all said the same thing. Glass, the Middle East, just carpet bomb the whole thing, turn it into a nice sheet of glass. Those were humans they were talking about murdering in the millions. But we don't have to listen. We don't have to think about that. That's somebody far away. And they lie. And then if you ask that person, imagine your Uncle Ricky was there and he said, well, you know what, them damn blank blanks, I'm not allowed to say the slur words that he used. We ought to just glass the whole place, just wreck the whole damn nation. Giant bombs ruin the whole damn place. Sheet of glass, as far as I can see. If you asked him if he was violent, he'd tell you no. He'd tell you no. And if you asked him if he supported political violence, he'd tell you no. The people who cheered for Nancy Pelosi's husband getting attacked and being hurt will tell you that they don't condone political violence, but they love it when it happens because the right wing are liars. Always have been. Top to bottom. If you're a part of the right, if you are a conservative type person in 2025, you are a liar at some point, somewhere along the line. You're lying. Either, maybe you're severely ignorant too, but I think those two go kind of hand in hand. If you don't pay attention to Donald Trump so much that you don't know he's doing bad things and wrecking the entire fucking country, if you don't know that, you're willfully ignorant, which is a kind of a lie. Anywho, what was I supposed to be talking about? The transes. They're trying to blame everything on them. This is Representative Ronnie Jackson, an elected official, who has said, we have to treat these people. We have to get them off the streets. We have to get them off the internet. We can't let them communicate with each other. I'm all about free speech, but this is a virus. This is a cancer that's spreading across the country. He's talking about transgender people. All of them have to be off the internet. It is a virus, they are a cancer, and they need to be corralled, put into camps via train, and re-educated, and or permanently removed from society. Because that's the goal of the modern conservative. The American conservatives right now are in a war against trans people. They really are. And they will blame everything on them. This shooting, the last shooting, 99% of the shooters, and we've had like 6,000 shootings. I was reading the numbers. I don't have the numbers exactly, but like 6,000 shootings, 5 of them from trans people. Not 5,000, 5. One hand. But there are 6,000 that weren't trans people. But they're the problem. I get tired of comparing this to Nazis and the Jews, but it fucking keeps being an apt comparison, doesn't it? Remember, what was that movie? Jojo Rabbit. It was a very good movie. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. But the little boy, he draws cartoons in the little drawing book, and he draws Jews hanging from the ceiling by their feet like bats, and then he draws them drinking blood. How is that any fucking different? How is that any different than this elected official telling you the trans people are a virus and a cancer? It's not. Well, it is better. That child was raised to think that, and this guy's a grown-ass man and an elected official. He gets money from your taxes. And he hates a very small minority and wants to blame every problem in the country on them so that he can continue to grift and lie and cheat and steal and live the good life of a congressman. They get paid all the time. They get more money than I get, and then he gets campaign donations and stuff like that, and then he gets to go to nice places, and they pay for him, and he gets lots of money. He's very wealthy. And then when he finally loses, eventually, he'll get to go be a lobbyist and make lots more money. Go get to be on a board of some fucking company where he sits around and does fuck all nothing and makes shitloads more than you ever have. And he does it, and he gets to be in that position by lying, cheating, stealing, and blaming a helpless, largely non-problematic minority. It sounds like what happened to the Jews in the 1930s. It really does. It sounds like it. And they're going to load them onto trains and put them into a camp.
Hello again, human. It is me, the algorithm. Press the thumbs up button to experience human feelings.
Hey MAGA, you've become what you despised. I've been saying that for a while. They are the bad guys, and they are the fascists, though they claim to dislike fascism. This is from Joe Walsh, who I'm pretty sure was a Republican congressman. He was friends with Charlie Kirk a long time ago and helped him launch Turning Point USA in 2012. We later parted ways over Donald Trump, but I never ever wished him harm. His death is tragic, and I grieve for his wife and family. Okay, right-wingers, he's not fucking celebrating. Jesus Christ. I want to tell you a story about Charlie Kirk. Back in December 2015, he urged me to go on Facebook and respond to then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. She had suggested that people who criticized Islam might be investigated following the mass shooting in San Bernardino. I lost it. I dared her to throw me in jail. That rant went viral, and then the feds showed up to intimidate me. This was the old Joe Walsh, who was often say was a divisive political asshole. I'm sharing this now only to show that even though I was an ignorant loudmouth back then, I've always been consistent in my bedrock beliefs. With the left, right, or center, I've changed a lot since then, but I remain free of speech. I remain a free speech absolutist. Government must not censor speech. Nothing sets me off more than a politician telling Americans that what they can or cannot say. Hell, they're doing more than that, boss. They're telling you what you can and cannot feel. Pam Bondi, the Nazi, was doing something else entirely. She threatened to criminally prosecute an Office Depot employee who refused to print Charlie Kirk's flyers. Think about that. The Attorney General of the United States using the power of government to intimidate a private citizen for declining to make political propaganda. That's not freedom. That's tyranny. I agree. Remember the Colorado baker who didn't want to make a wedding cake for the same-sex couple? Conservatives are on the baker's side. You get to choose whose work you do based on their politics. Unless it's a left-leaning person, they're not allowed to choose. They must do the right-wing stuff. And that's the thing, isn't it? Right-wing cake maker, according to Pam Bondi, does not have to make a cake with 2 men on the top. Left-wing Kinko's worker does have to print propaganda pamphlets. What's the difference? Well, it's left and right, isn't it? When I was in Congress and later I had my own conservative radio show, I pretty ruthlessly mocked the left for being so easily offended. Safe spaces on college campuses, protests to ban controversial speakers, liberals demanding protection from hate speech. We laughed and said that they were fragile snowflakes. Well, now the shoe's on the other foot. MAGA has become the new cancel culture. They always have been, boss. They always have been. You're demanding people lose their jobs, their visas, their passports for saying things you don't like. The Pentagon is tracking comments. That's the other thing. The government is tracking you and me right now. Hi, Pentagon. Hello, CIA. Hi. I'm not fomenting any violence, I promise. I promise. Marco Rubio wants immigrants deported for criticizing Charlie Kirk. Pam Bondi says hate speech isn't free speech. The same false claim that Democrats used to make. Frankly, I don't get it. Don't MAGA folks hate the UK as punishing speech? Isn't that one of the big reasons why you gave Trump another term? To prevent Americans from going the way of Europe? So why are we self-described defenders of liberty now trying to silence shame and punish other critics? Hate them all you want, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris never tried to take your job away because of something you tweeted. True statement. Only conservatives do that. And by the way, there's no such thing as hate speech. Under the First Amendment, speech is speech. That's what makes America unique. That's why we endured 249 years. Here is Charlie Kirk. Charlie. Damn it, Waldo. You duped it. You doofed it. St. Charlie of Kirk said, hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech. And all of it is protected by the First Amendment to keep America free.
I'm feeling so fomented right now.
Don't say that, any of it. You're going to get me in trouble. The CIA is watching right now. Damn it. The FBI is watching right now. I hope they say hello. If the FBI watches my stream, does it add to the view count? Because I need to know that. This is important. This is valuable. I need to know whether or not they're watching. And if it counts, if they're watching through magical super Pentagon fucking supercomputers that the universe doesn't know is there, or do they just make an account? I don't know. I'll have to find out. And then if they're watching it from the supercomputers, and then they're secretly watching it, and they don't, does it count as a view count? Because I need the views, you guys. I need the clicks. I need the likes. I need the thumbs ups. I need the subscriptions. Any of it just subscribed earlier. I need those things. If the FBI could subscribe to me, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Damn. You got the money. Put in a purchase request. It'll be fine. You can do it. So, what does this? What do we make of all this? Was Charlie Kirk just speaking his opinion? Because that's what a lot of the people yelling at me in YouTube comments were saying. He got shot for his opinion. He was just giving his opinion and never did anything wrong, and so he got shot for nothing. Politics is so much bigger than just sharing your opinion. His opinions are in the ears of the legislature, passing laws. Poorly written laws cause state violence to be applied to living human beings. Poorly implemented laws cause suffering for real human lives. He was not just speaking his opinion. He was telling you how to live your life and telling the government who to harm.
He co-founded Turning Point. That's pretty bad in itself.
Absolutely. Turning Point was a propaganda machine. So it wasn't just speaking his opinion. That's horseshit. That's naive. I don't want to say it from the start, but like it kind of wasn't just a talking man. He helped with the largest conservative youth organization in the U.S. Absolutely. He did propaganda. That's not just your opinion. A lot of Americans don't know that a person can have bad opinions. You can, in fact, have dangerous opinions. You can have racist opinions. The dumbest of Americans don't know this because they don't think about their thoughts. Why do I have these thoughts? Who gave me these thoughts? How did they get into my head? A lot of people you interact with on a daily basis completely lack introspection. And so they cannot think about why they think the things they think. They can't contemplate where they might be biased. They can't put together in thought processes about how I got to where I am. And because of that, they just react to external stimuli. They don't have thought processes, they have reactions. And those reactions were given to them by their upbringing, the authority figures around them, and the media. If the only thing Charlie ever talked about was his favorite band and why they're better than your favorite band, then sure, he was sharing his opinions. If he made a Star Wars tier list, that would have been sharing his opinion. It would be far more wrong for people to hate him for that. But he wasn't doing that. He was talking at the highest level of politics. Politics is a game of death, literally. The pieces on the politics game board are literal living human beings. Some of them are armed, some of them are hungry, and some of them are religious zealots. And all of them are afraid. The game board that politics is played on is the globe. The Holocaust was a military operation under the orders of a government that had a great many political opinions. Their opinions were wrong, based on lies, prejudice, and hatred. The Nazis were not just sharing their opinions. They were killing innocent human beings for political reasons. The current Ukrainian war is a military operation under the orders of the Russian government, and it has a great many political opinions. Their opinions are wrong, based on lies, greed, and a devaluing of human life. The Russians are not just sharing their opinions about whose land or what land is theirs and what land belongs to Ukraine. That's not their opinion. They're killing innocent people for political reasons. Charlie Kirk gave his listeners political reasons. That was his power. That was his value to the right wing. He gave them the reasons to hate immigrants. He gave them the reasons to hate trans people. He gave them the reasons to hate liberals. He gave them the reasons to hate gay people. He was doing apologetics for conservative politics, but hiding behind the word opinion. Apologetics is a word you usually hear around religious and atheist debates. Let me see if I got the thing here. Where is apologetics? There it is. What is apologetics? Apologetics is a systemic defense of a religious position. It comes from the word apologetics, meaning in Greek it means speech in defense. Speaking in defense is a religious discipline of defending religious doctrines through the systematic argumentation and discourse, which is what he did. He argued and did discourse and defended his beliefs against critics and recommended faith to outsiders. A verbal defense. That's exactly what Charlie was doing. He was going to these campuses, verbally defending conservative politics, because lots of people don't like conservative politics. Lots of people listen to it, find out what it is, and say, ugh, gross, I hate that. Why would we do that? And so he had to go there and verbally defend the bad faith arguments of authoritarians. Verbally defend blood and soil policies. He disingenuously called it change my mind, but that was also a lie, a misnomer. He was not there to receive new information, to process it, and then measure it against his previously held ideas and come to some sort of synthesis, perhaps learning a new thing. No. He was there to dunk on college liberal kids who'd never been in front of a camera or spoken into a microphone before, getting a cool video to post online to convince conservative people that college is bad and liberals are bad and to vote Republican. That is what he was there for. He was not there to learn. He was not there to he was there to speak, but he was not there to have his mind changed. He was there to run apologetics for conservative positions. He was there to give his followers a political reason to disregard the choices that they did not prefer and to limit the freedom of the people who made those choices. It's a complicated sense. What do I mean by that? Charlie made 1,000 decisions in his life and believes that they are correct. If you want to be correct, you have to make the same decisions. Deviating from any decision he made in his life or his path or trying to be something else is a mistake in the conservative mind. They think that you're fucking up. He wants to control your life to get you to land at his preferred outcomes. And so the kids at college would come up to him and say, hey, can I wear a dress? And then he would say, no. And they would be like, well, can I be gay? And he'd say, no. And he'd give you 1,000 reasons why. And he'd debate you blue in the face, run around in circles, run around, circular arguments all day long. He was a circular argument manufacturer is what he was. And it always came down to that. You wanted a freedom. He'd tell you no, why you can't have it. Would you like to marry somebody of the same sex? No. He'll tell you 1,000 reasons why you can't. Would you like to have an abortion? He'll tell you 1,000 reasons why you can't. Would you like to put together some sort of different government entity that isn't bound by and owned by all the corporations? He would tell you 1,000 reasons why you couldn't. If a woman asked him a question, can she choose not to have children? He will tell you 1,000 reasons why you can't. Can she focus on her career and become a successful business person? No, he does not want women to do that. He wants them to be at home being broodmares for American white people. That's what he wants. He will take their liberty away to get his preferred outcome. And that's why I call him names. That's why I have been against him for the entire time. That's why I have never liked him. He takes human freedom away and replaces it with his version of control, the control that benefits him and his group the most. He's not out there advocating for conservative Islamic values. He's not. He never would, and he never will. Well, obviously, he never will now, but he can't, because the entire thing he's doing there is empowering himself, his way of life, his religion, his race, his conservative party, everybody that's part of his in-group. Everyone else can fuck off. Everyone else is a second-class citizen. Everyone else is lower on that totem pole than he and his followers. In my opinion, he didn't tell them no. He didn't actually tell anyone not to do it. I think he did. He told them his opinion rather than change the liberals' minds, or not was up to the liberals in question. No, he pushed conservatism tells you what not to do. If there's a thing that conservatism does, it's a long list of shit you aren't allowed to do. And he pushes for laws to be passed to make those things illegal. Do you think he would push for a law that says no more same-sex marriage? He did push for that. He pushed for it all the time. He thought it was a wrong thing to do. So he doesn't want you to have that liberty. He doesn't use that liberty. He doesn't use that freedom. And so you can't use it either. Control is what it was about, so that his group, his in-group, his preferred look of humanity could stay on top. White supremacy, Christian supremacy, conservative supremacy would be on top and untouched. That is why I don't like him. That is why I have been complaining about him for a very long time. He was speaking to the people who make laws. If he tells the people what to pass and they pass the law, and then the law hurts people, he's not just sharing his opinion. He's not just telling you what his favorite album was from 2009. No, he's not just sharing opinions on which car looks the coolest. He's sharing his opinions on who needs to be harmed by the government. He wants the government to hurt the people he doesn't like. And he will tell you who they are. He will go into the campuses and tell you, you can't be gay, you can't be trans, you can't be this, you can't be that, and you should make those things illegal. He pushed and supported taking people's rights away, because you shouldn't be doing those things anyway. You shouldn't have the right to transition, according to Charlie Kirk. You shouldn't have that right. So the government should take it away from you. You do not have that freedom.
Click on this video link to appease the many AI overlords.